Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is November 26, 2024, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, markets retrace almost across the board. But first, no major economic events scheduled for today. So jumping straight into the market, starting out with the Forex symbols. The Canadian dollar does spike to its lows versus the US dollar, and the Turkish Lira continues to make new lows versus the US dollar in inches. Now looking at the indices, the Dow Jones remaining strong while the NASDAQ unchanged. Shifting over to the commodities, we're watching gold weaken while oil retraces. Now looking at the stocks, it's a mixed bag with Apple pivoting higher for the first time. It's really taking a lead while we're watching Tesla and Netflix retrace. And lastly, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin retraces as well. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. Here we go. First with the Canadian dollar. Now it did spike back to its lows at 141. That is a significant spike for the Canadian dollar versus dollar. It is consolidating and fading it. So it might be a fade opportunity because remember, on a weekly chart, we did break above our resistance of 138, but on a monthly chart, we're still there. Okay, I mean, we haven't gone back to this 146-ish level. But this is super important because this was really a great trade on the upside versus the Canadian dollar. Now, what's happening behind it? Well, on day one, when Trump becomes president, he's going to pass some tariffs on Canada. And that's going to depress the Canadian economy because their biggest export is their neighbor down south, which is the United States. So it's going to affect the Canadian economy down the line. Jumping into commodities, gold retracing further yesterday from 2640-ish level down to 2622. Okay, it's still within a retracement level, but not that big of a deal. I mean, yes, it did retrace from its 2721, but ultimately we're not back to our 2500, and at the same time we're not at a 2700. So it has been more volatile, but it is consolidating and stopping here, which it does have somewhat of support. Crude oil also retracing here to $69 a barrel, still trading within that range. And natural gas holding its own at 342, but just shy of its high of 350. Now jumping into the US markets, the Dow Jones was strong yesterday. I mean, you can't see it here. Okay, if we look at a 15-minute chart, it gapped up and then, went higher, and it was up almost 400 points for the day. Okay, as it inches back to its all-time record highs. Okay. But keep in mind, okay, not everything went together, okay, because the NASDAQ did not go all the way back up, okay. Now looking at the individual stocks, let's take a look at Apple. This is the biggest question. Apple goes higher in a market where the NASDAQ is really unchanged, and this is super important because it's back close to its all-time record highs of 237-ish level. So that's a very important area as we're inching in. Because remember, this was pretty weak. Now Microsoft, which was the other weak one, also just pivoting a little bit higher to 418, but nothing really to write home about. JP Morgan still remaining very, very strong on its highs, and so is Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, all those guys as well. Now, let's look at the weak stocks. Tesla took a turn on the downside after hitting resistance area at 360. Okay, we anticipated that. And also Netflix retracing for its all-time record highs of 905. Okay, every time we break above and to new highs, at a certain point we correct ourselves. People are booking their profits, and this would probably be a good place to do it right before Thanksgiving as we're going into the holiday season. Now, lastly, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin was at that 100K, close to it, but didn't break out higher, and then finally retracing to 93,300. And that's normal. That's okay. Okay, it's supposed to retrace and kind of looks very similar to Netflix, and that's what I'm talking about when you get these big spikes and then the correction afterwards. Okay, so what happens next? Well, it's a question. How much is it going to retrace further? It's going to kind of consolidate at a certain area. What's going to be its next move? And that's all needs to be answered because this is momentum type of trading. And you just have to wait for the trade to come to you as opposed to chasing it and missing out on these type of moves. What you should do is just really watch it. And when you see that it has a lot of volume and a lot of movement all at one time, that's the only way to trade it in intraday. Okay, I'm not talking about holding on to it as an investor, obviously. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.